Hello! Welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Freda, and friends, this is a place where we gently explore healing, spirituality, and what it means to be a human on Earth. This is a place where we explore those things together. I am right there with you, walking side by side along the path. So if you are a person that is doing your healing work, I'm doing my healing work too. Friends, I have some fun things to share with you today. I got a podcast review and I am so excited to share it with you. But first, let's wake up together a little bit. We've got my coffee. It is early. Let's do a little chitter chat and get things going. Now, I excavate my trauma and situations to a degree and level that is pretty crazy. And that is because I am on one of these deeply spiritual paths that is sort of like, oh, Lordy Lou, this is what I'm doing this lifetime. And in me fully understanding and getting to know myself, I then desire to be able to use that information to help others in the future with their healing journeys. And it is something that I am doing now in my morning meditation program, Return to Self-Love, and in my mentorship students, helping guide them, walk side by side with them to help them shape their own journeys for themselves. I am not here to prescribe exact ways of doing things. I am here to hold safe containers and guide people through transformative journeys of their own. And something really interesting that I've been thinking about lately is like, how do you sell that to someone? Even the idea of selling it to somebody gives me the willies. It makes me cringe and shudder. And that's probably because I come from lifetimes of being a nun, being a monk, being a Christian mystic. I have a number of lifetimes that I have unawareness around of being in a scene. Well, that is all about communal living, and everybody puts their stuff in the pot and we all work together. That is what radiates and resonates through my body. I want to live in community in that way. So the idea of creating a business, a spiritual business, has never resonated with me in a way where I have been able to take the ball and run with it. The world of Instagram, which is the social media that I am the most familiar with, shows me things that I have not seen a single coach or spiritual teacher or person showing up on Instagram that doesn't give me the ick. I have a handful of people that I have either interviewed on this podcast or found elsewhere, maybe like Threads in the past or something, or found their podcasts and then got the intro to them and found them on social media. And I don't even think that social media for those beautiful souls shows up, like is displaying or sharing in a way that like makes sense to me. It is still ick. I take that back. There's one person I think that's doing a really great job. But they don't have a lot of followers. So the people that have like the massive big numbers, the pretty people, have always it's just like, what the fuck even is this? And it's always made me feel wrong and bad in some way, or just like I'm not doing this right, but not because I'm wrong, because the structure is wrong. So I feel like in a lot of ways I have been biding my time, learning, continuing to do my work, and just to sort of like get ready for what's coming, because whatever it is I'm here to bring forward is very different from the structures and ways in which things are being currently done. And how that is I'd say behind picket fences. You know, like everybody has their own coffee pot in their own home, their own little living situation, and we are separated. It is within separation. Well, to me, and the way I experience the world is I am you, you are me, we are one. There is a great oneness. We come to Earth and we are a soul having a human experience. We are individuated in order to experience things on our own. And to, at least one of my big things that I'm learning is sovereignty and getting to choose and choice. What would you like? Because being part of the all that is sort of like less about what do I want and what does spirit want to move through me. That has been where my headspace has been. And I'm reaching a stage of the journey where now it's like, oh, Freda, what do you want? And I go, oh my God, I don't know. What does it mean to not just be a vessel, a conduit, a pillar of light? What does it mean to actually choose for myself? It's sort of like excavate, clear the channel. All these spiritual gifts come online, and then I'm like, okay, now we ground into the earth, and like what we would call the divine feminine side of this situation, our Mother Earth side, is is like, well, what do you want? Because now it is about the embodied experience of being here on Earth. And there's an aspect of where I thought, oh yeah, I've been grounding, I've been doing this, I have an elemental guidance and work really closely with nature, and that aspect of this comes easy to me. I am an earth being. I feel this so deeply connected. I've got this. It's almost like second nature. Like the up and out aspect was always there too. So it's like really just deciding, I never really, there's a worth and value thing here. Okay, I'm going to say that. There's a worth and value thing here that I never allowed myself to choose. What do you want? It's the craziest thing because like a large swath of my life, I just am in the world bumping through life in a way where I am so incredibly connected to the all that is. I just feel delicious inside. My life is super easy in so many ways, and I just move through the world in this really, honestly, flow state. I very, 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 very rarely get sick. I'm incredibly happy. I light up rooms wherever I go, or the store, or whatever, and like it's very much in flow and attract beautiful experiences. And when I made a statement to the universe, I needed this number every month to make ends meet. It came. Now, it's come in a lot of different little ways that I've made that happen. And now I'm like, and I've been seeking a job because I read the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she said stuff around like she never wanted to put her writing like forward in a way where like it was responsible, her art was responsible for making her living. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's what I've been doing with my business, is like I've created this business and now I expect it to support me without having any other stuff around it to help it out. And did that for a year, and then it's like, okay, well, where's the business needs to start supporting itself just because the household needs that income. And it's sort of one of those things where it's like, don't quit your day job while you're creating a spiritual business, at least for me. But since I was coming off of a 5-year not working hiatus because I was so deeply entrenched in doing my own work, I was a mess, y'all. I was so deep in it, deconditioning. And I got a long way. And you guys, there's still so much more to go. Being able to do all of these magic sparkly things is wonderful. And there's still more de-encodement and deconditioning on my part that I need to do. And yay, what a ride. I'm here for it. We're meeting together first thing in the morning. I actually have a wonderful day planned with my husband. He planned it. We're going to go and have a day of adventure in the park and at a little resort place around here, which is so nice. The two of us have been trying to make a conscious effort to spend time together because our private lives are very stressful. We have very stressful private lives. There's a lot going on in the world sort of around us. And we had this sort of like, we need to remember to take time for one another and spend time, which is easy as a nearly 20-year married couple to forget to do. We will address everything else, and peripherally pass each other in the home. And it's like, no. You got to make the time to be together, to do the fun things. It's very important. All right, circle back. Where were we? I do believe in the law of attraction. I do believe that we manifest our own realities. I do believe that thoughts become our experience in time. I do believe those things. It is the truth. Money has shown up for me in a way where I need this number. I set that goal with the universe, and the universe has provided in a myriad of different ways every month. This is true. Now I'm at the point where I need that number to come in, and it needs to be a little bit easier, because the way that I am hustling to do that is not in alignment with who I am. It sends me into a bit of a it doesn't feel good in my body. So I have this agreement with my body that I will listen to it when it starts talking to me. And my lower back has been going, wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, okay, that is my key to slow down, sink in, and listen. So I will. And I actually went and looked at my calendar, and I was like, all right, I need a silent spiritual retreat to allow for integration and allow for sort of a reset and re-examination of what my business even is. It never had a clearly defined structure because I'm learning as I go. I had a teacher who was basically like, you can do all of this stuff. Your next step is start a spiritual business. And I loved my teacher, and I didn't even question that. It was like, of course, I'll start a spiritual business. It never even occurred to me to question that. It was just like, then I just did it. And I regret none of it, because I wouldn't be who I am, and I would not practice what I preach as much as I did if I didn't go on that journey. And the first year of that journey, I taught a container where I taught 5 days a week in the morning, every single morning. Return to Self-Love was originally 5 days a week, and I taught that for 1 year. I did that. And that was so much showing up and so much holding space and so much energy work. I learned so much. And then in the course of that time, at some point, I started studying the semi-trance voice channeling, and I started to understand that that was a little too much, and came back for my second year of Return to Self-Love, which we are now 8 months into. And I teach 1 day a week, and then I provide video assistance throughout the rest of the week for their spiritual practice in the morning for the students. I ask a lot of people if you work with me. When you work with me, I hold a frequency of incredible transformation. I hold a frequency of you are going to change. And before we can become the people that we came here to be, or discover what that might be, because I'm not telling you, you have to discover it for yourself by following your bliss and passions. A lot of stuff has to fall away, and people can be deeply uncomfortable with change. And I love change. I will blow everything up and help walk you next to you while you put it all back together in a way that you see fit. And before you put it all back together, you're going to sit in the void. Something fun about me is that I take this stuff really lightly. But it's dark, deep work. I take it lightly because I've done it in my own life over and over and over and over again. And each time that I come through, each time I walk through the fire, walk through the darkness, walk through the absolute pain, suffering, and void, every time I come out the other side, more connected to me, more connected to God, universe, source, my higher self, more connected to the all that is. And it's always worth it. I take things less personally each time on the other side of that. Less and less and less. There's so much more shedding. And on the other side, it is always more freedom, ease, flow, freedom, ease. It doesn't make 3D reality easier, though. Except it also does. It does make 3D reality easier because we hold everything with a grain of salt. And simultaneously, there's still just like 3D reality things that we have to do, like pay the mortgage, get to the grocery store and make sure you have a nutritious meal in your body. You know, stuff. It isn't just all fluffy duffy. What am I doing this morning? Having a coffee with you. Early. Share. I wanted to share something really special that happened. We got a rambler today. That's all right. Ramblers are allowed to happen. I don't have to be perfect at giving you some sort of structure. My pleasure is to sit down and honestly just talk sometimes, and why not? Friends, I wanted to tell you that I got my very first podcast review. Clap. It was given to me by a man named Tall Gur. And in looking him up online, he is a transformational coach and someone who wrote a book about saying yes to life. And it looks like he travels all over the world and has experiences and integrates them and then helps other people do the same. But I look forward to actually, I'll have to get his book on audiobook at some point and give it a listen. I wanted to share this review with you because something that I'm always doing on here is like, wah. Nobody sees me, knows me, nobody can hear me, blah, 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 blah. It's one of those core wounds. So after setting the intention of my desire to be seen, I have a review. Talk about manifestation, eh? And my review for the Healing Artist podcast by Tall Gur, I want to read it to you because it is amazing. It's anything that I could have hoped for and more because this person does see me. What if the deepest healing begins not by searching outside yourself, but by learning to trust the wisdom already within? The Healing Artist, created by Freda Maletsky, offers an inspiring blend of personal storytelling, intuitive guidance, and spiritual teachings that encourage listeners to reconnect with their authentic selves and embrace life with greater clarity, courage, and self-compassion. We're off to a great start, people. This is already so good. I'm like, yes, that is what we're doing here. Thank you for telling me. Sometimes I'm just doing it. Thank you for reflecting back. This feels amazing. Okay, here we go. We're going to continue. What is the podcast about? The Healing Artist explores the many layers of personal transformation through conversations that weave together spirituality, emotional healing, intuition, and conscious living. Drawing from her own remarkable journey of moving from profound despair to a life filled with purpose and wonder, Freda Maletsky shares practical insights along deeply personal experiences that invite listeners to see healing as an ongoing process of rediscovering themselves. Each episode combines heartfelt storytelling with energetic perspectives, creating an atmosphere that feels both nurturing and thought-provoking rather than prescriptive. Wow, this is so nice. My love language is positive words of affirmation, so my heart is just like all aglow. I really honestly should print this out and read it every day. Beyond personal reflections, the podcast regularly explores topics such as nervous system regulation, manifestation, self-worth, grounding practices, energetic awareness, channeling, spiritual awakening, meditation, and conscious relationships. Freda also welcomes guests who bring expertise in complementary healing traditions, expanding conversations into areas like feng shui, Chinese astrology, qigong, and intuitive development. Whether delivering channeled Frequency Friday messages or discussing everyday emotional challenges, every episode encourages listeners to cultivate greater self-awareness while developing a more trusting relationship with themselves and life. Then we have our podcast details. I'm in the alternative health category, and I actually didn't realize that I had put that when I originally signed up for things. Started in 2025. Podcast creator. Freda Maletsky is a self-clarity coach, intuitive medium, channel, visual artist, illustrator, and writer whose work centers on helping people reconnect with their inner wisdom and personal truth. Drawing from her own profound healing journey and years of exploring spirituality, creativity, and intuitive development, she created The Healing Artist as a space where storytelling, energetic practices, and practical life lessons come together. Her approachable teaching style makes complex spiritual concepts feel grounded, accessible, and deeply relevant to the everyday life, while encouraging listeners to discover their own capacity for healing and transformation. Thank you, Tall. You guys, I'm loving sharing this. All right, here's the core theme. At its heart, The Healing Artist teaches that healing is not about becoming someone different, but remembering who we have always been beneath the layers of fear, conditioning, and emotional pain. Throughout the podcast, Freda emphasizes that self-worth, intuition, and spiritual connection are not gifts reserved for a select few, but qualities that can be developed through intentional practice, honest reflection, and compassionate self-acceptance. The show consistently encourages listeners to move away from external validation and towards a stronger relationship with their own inner guidance. Another central theme in this connection between emotional well-being, energetic awareness, and conscious living, episodes frequently examine how beliefs, trauma, relationships, daily habits, and even the information people consume influence their overall state of being. By combining practical exercises with spiritual insight, the podcast presents healing as both deeply personal and universally accessible, inviting listeners to participate actively in creating lives that feel more peaceful, aligned, and meaningful. Podcast takeaways. Some key lessons from the podcast. True healing begins by accepting every part of your personal journey rather than resisting difficult experiences. Hallelujah. Developing trust in your intuition can lead to clearer decisions and greater emotional resilience. That is true. Personal growth often requires creating nervous system safety before lasting transformation can occur. Also true. Worthiness is an inherent quality that does not need to be earned through achievement or external approval. I teach that because, bitches, I am still learning it myself. It is true. But yes, daily choices, relationships, environments, and media consumption all influence our emotional and energetic well-being. True, true, true. Grounding practices, meditation, and conscious self-reflection help create greater inner stability during times of change. Yes, yes, yes. And finally, spiritual awakening becomes more meaningful when paired with practical action, compassion, and personal responsibility. Woo-yee! Yay, yay, yay. I especially love that personal responsibility part, and thank you, Tall, for noticing. I actually truly believe if each and every one of us took full and total responsibility for our lives and examination of our own stuff, holy crap, we would be in a different world than we are, to truly sink in and look at the center of yourself and who you are. Okay, continuing on with this amazing review that I feel so incredibly puffed up about. Podcast strengths. The Healing Artist stands out for its authenticity, emotional honesty, and ability to bridge spiritual concepts with everyday life. Freda communicates complex ideas about intuition, manifestation, energy healing, and consciousness in language that feels approachable rather than overwhelming. While her willingness to openly share her own struggles create a genuine sense of trust, the podcast also benefits from its thoughtful balance of solo reflection, guided teachings, channeled messages, and insightful guest conversations, giving listeners both inspiration and practical tools they can immediately begin applying. Who is the podcast for? This podcast is especially well suited for listeners who are interested in personal growth, spiritual exploration, emotional healing, and intuitive development. Those navigating major life transitions, recovering from emotional hardship, seeking greater self-understanding, or exploring holistic approaches to well-being that will likely find its compassionate perspective particularly meaningful. It also appeals to anyone curious about blending spirituality with practical everyday living without losing sight of personal responsibility and emotional authenticity. Why should you listen to the Healing Artist podcast? The Healing Artist offers far more than uplifting conversations. It provides an invitation to slow down, reconnect with yourself, and approach life's challenges from a place of greater awareness and compassion. Whether you are beginning your healing journey or have spent years exploring spirituality, Freda's thoughtful guidance, genuine vulnerability, and practical wisdom create an encouraging space where listeners can continue growing while discovering that meaningful transformation often begins with small, intentional shifts in perspective. Questions this podcast helps us explore. This review just goes on and on and on. It's amazing. How can we learn to trust our intuition even when life feels uncertain? What beliefs or emotional patterns quietly prevent us from receiving the life we truly desire? How do healing, spirituality, and personal responsibility work together to create lasting change? What daily practices help us remain grounded while navigating personal and collective transformation? How can embracing our authentic selves become the foundation for deeper peace, purpose, and fulfillment? And finally, concluding thoughts. The Healing Artist offers a thoughtful and uplifting exploration of what it means to heal from the inside out. Rather than promising quick answers or easy solutions, the podcast encourages listeners to develop a deeper relationship with themselves through curiosity, compassion, and internal practice. Its combination of personal experience, spiritual wisdom, and practical guidance creates an environment where growth feels both accessible and deeply personal. For anyone seeking a podcast that honors both the emotional and spiritual dimensions of transformation, this series provides an inspiring companion for the journey. Each episode gently reminds listeners that healing is not about perfection, but about remembering their own inner strength, cultivating self-trust, and embracing the extraordinary possibilities that emerge when they begin living in greater alignment with who they truly are. And that is the review. So thank you, Editor-in-Chief Tal Gur. And he is the founder of Elevate Society, and that is the website in which this review appears. I can't tell you how good that feels to read. I have been thinking more and more and more about what do I want this podcast to actually do? What do I want my business to be? And all of that kind of good stuff. And while I don't have any answers yet, it is really nice to have something like this reflected back to me to sort of show that, okay, they're almost telling me what I've been making over this last 160 plus episode situation here. The growth, the coming along for the ride, that aspect. And yeah, that feels kind of amazing to have that reflected back, because it was the request to the universe, and quite frankly, here we are. Now, the first time I read it, I kind of teared up, and I think I'm gonna actually print this out so that I can put it up and have it as sort of like something that makes me go, okay, Freda, your voice inside, when it wants to get down on you, is giving you the wounding of no one can see you, no one can hear you. But here is physical reality, true, like proof that that's not true. Here is physical reality proof that somebody does see you. They do hear you. And not only that, they took a step to share it with other people. How lucky am I? That is so lucky and so beautiful. And I just am so grateful for that, because I think that this review is actually helping me in my journey to unlock and find. I've still got some worthiness stuff in there. I swear to you, teachers teach what they need to embody and learn for themselves. When I started my business, I thought I was going to get all these people with eating disorders coming towards me because it's something I have understanding on the unbelievable tendrils connected to an eating disorder, because it's something I've been through and I got that out of my system, and I have been recovered for quite some time now. God, years. And whew, hallelujah. It was the bane of my existence for 25 years. It was always sitting there nagging. It was the thing that came up that was the way that I was self-harming the most. And it's funny, I started my business and I thought that I would attract towards me eating disorder clients because it's such a prevalent female thing too. It's just, I mean, most women in America have some sort of problem with their self-image, self-worth, body stuff. I've found with the eating disorder, the tendrils were all sorts of locked back into family of origin stories as well. There was a lot of lineage stuff in there. Some of the final moments of that was like literally like at my ancestors, creating an altar and burning and giving back like these things that were still entwined. But that hasn't been the case. That hasn't been what shows up. Now, who knows what the future holds? And I might still have some of these blocks inside of me that aren't ready for the people yet. Either, so those are things that I will keep showing up and working on for myself. We shall see. We shall see. I am pretty excited. A woman came into my world. She came on the podcast to be interviewed, and I'm looking forward to studying with her because she has a lot of great information, and I think that she's going to really help me with some of these layers. Something we need to remember, even though, you can do all this magic, sparkly, all of this stuff, right? You can do all of this neat, connected to Elizabeth, connected to the all that is, talking to consciousness, all of that. We need support too. Teachers need support. Because I have such connection, it's easy for me to forget to ask for help. Because I just go get the help myself. And I have to remember that this is a 3D body, and I need to also be honoring the body and getting the help and connection here as well. And that might look like some body work, like a massage sometimes, that kind of thing. And allowing myself to receive that assistance too, because sometimes we teachers forget to receive. Get so focused on assistance. And yeah. All right, my loves. That was so fun to share that with you. Thank you for waking up with me this morning. I'm going to continue to finish my cup of coffee here and get ready for a wonderful day, oot and a boot, with my husband out in the Bay Area, having a good time out in nature. Friends, if you would like to work with me, you can see what I have going on at my website, fredahealing.com. I have 30-minute, 1 hour, and 90-minute healing sessions. I have donation-based Elizabeth channeling sessions. I run a monthly full moon circle. And I have my flagship program, Return to Self-Love, which will teach you to have a spiritual practice for yourself. I ran frequency back in February, and I've been teasing that I'm going to have another frequency again. What I realized is when I ran frequency, I did it in 1 month with 3 very high-level special students and blew us all out of the water. And it has been 6 months, and that work that we did in frequency is actually finally integrating both in the students and in myself. Fun, right? Yeah. Listen, you learn by doing, and I blew everybody out of the water. Elizabeth has never been a human on Earth, and she is under the impression that we can go fast and hard. And sometimes there is a level of forgetting the human form. I now fully understand this because I've done it and realize what's what? What's what? So I will be running frequency again in the upcoming future. It's going to be 6 months. It's a 6-month program because y'all need to integrate in between each thing. Yeah, I'm wild. I do wild things and then realize, but I learn best from making, from doing things. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, the nervous system needs a lot more time to allow this work to actually come into fruition. But the people that were in the container, as the months were coming on, have actually had some massive breakthroughs, massive stuff, and Elizabeth tuning them to the frequency of that which they prefer. Here it is, and it's taken 6 months. So, yeah. Oh my God, the journey is ongoing. All right, friends, I wanted to tell you that I love you. God, universe, source loves you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.